You know, an ice storm can turn the world into this beautiful, glistening wonderland. But when the power suddenly goes out, all that beauty starts to look a lot more dangerous. So what's really happening out there on the power lines? Well, we're going to break down the incredible forces at play and how crews actually get your lights back on.
So picture this. This is what it looks like right after the storm hits. Everything is coated in this thick, heavy layer of ice. And yeah, it looks gorgeous, but for our electrical grid, this is basically the start of a nightmare. That ice, it's not just a pretty coating, it is incredibly heavy, and it's putting a massive amount of stress on every single wire and pole out there.
Okay, so you're sitting at home. The freezing rain has finally stopped, but it's totally dark, silent. What in the world is happening out there? And how do utility crews find that one tiny point of failure along miles and miles of wire to get your power restored?
To really get what's going on, you've got to appreciate the sheer force we're up against. It all starts with the unseen weight of the ice itself. And honestly, the numbers are kind of mind-blowing.
Get this. A coating of ice can make a single tree branch 30 times heavier. 30! Now just imagine that extra weight on every single tree that's standing anywhere near a power line.
And this number right here? This is the magic number, but not in a good way. Just half an inch of ice accumulation, that's the tipping point. That's when utility companies know that widespread, serious damage is about to happen.
So that little half-inch of ice, it can slap an extra 500 pounds of weight onto a single span of power lines between two poles. To put that in perspective, that's literally like hanging a baby grand piano from the wires. No joke.
And this is what that looks like in reality. You've got wires that are only meant to hold up their own weight, and now they're sagging under hundreds of extra pounds. This incredible strain, this is the root cause of almost everything that's about to go wrong. Okay, so we've got all this weight, all this strain on the system. What does the damage actually look like? Here's what you might see from a very safe distance, of course.
All right, number one, and this is the most common problem by far, trees. You've got tree limbs snapping under, remember, up to 30 times their normal weight. And where do they fall? Yep, right onto the power lines. This is the main reason your power goes out in an ice storm.
Then, the grid itself just starts to break. That 500 pounds of ice on the wires, plus the force of a giant tree limb falling on it, it can snap those big wooden utility poles and crossarms like they're nothing more than toothpicks.
Which brings us to the single most dangerous thing you can encounter, a downed power line. I can't stress this enough. Never, ever, ever go near one. You have to treat every single downed line as if it's live and incredibly dangerous. Period. Okay, so we've talked about the damage from the weight of the ice. But what happens when things start to warm up and that ice falls off? You'd think that's good news, right? Well, not exactly. It actually creates a whole new and just as dangerous set of problems.
There's a technical name for this. It's called ice shedding. It's pretty straightforward. It's when all that built-up ice, all 500 pounds of it, suddenly lets go of the power line. Maybe it's melting, or maybe the wind just knocks it loose.
Now think about it. You have a wire that's been stretched tight like a rubber band under all that weight. When that weight is suddenly gone, the line doesn't just go back to normal. Oh no, it recoils. It jumps up with some serious force.
This wild movement has a name, conductor galloping. The lines can jump and swing so violently that they actually slap into each other. And when two live wires touch, you get a massive electrical spark, a short circuit, what the pros call a fault. And that can cause even more outages and damage, long after the ice is gone.
Okay, so now we have a fault, a short circuit. It could be from a tree, a broken pole, or these galloping lines. But it's just one tiny spot on a massive network. So how on earth do utility crews find that one needle in a haystack, especially when everything is a mess after a storm?
You've probably seen these little gizmos on power lines and wondered, what the heck are those? Well, they're called faulted circuit indicators, or FCIs for short. And let me tell you, they are an absolute game changer for getting the power back on.
See, before these things existed, crews had to literally walk the line. I'm not kidding. They would have to visually check every single foot of a power line to find the damage. Imagine doing that at night, in a storm. It could take 6, 8, even 10 hours just to find one problem. It was a painfully slow process.
So how do these little boxes work their magic? It's actually a pretty smart 4-step process. First, it's always monitoring the electricity flowing through the wire. Step 2, when a fault happens, there's a huge surge of current, and the indicator detects that spike. Third, it waits a split second to confirm the line's circuit breaker has tripped and shut off the power for safety. And finally, this is the key part. It lights up. A bright, flashing LED light. For repair crews, this turns a 10-hour search into just driving down the road until they spot the flash. It's brilliant.
So knowing all this is cool, but what's even more important is knowing what you should do. You actually have a super important role to play in getting things back to normal. And it all starts with one word: safety.
Okay, let's drill this in because it's that important. Always assume a down line is live. The rule of thumb is to stay at least 30 feet away. For reference, that's about the length of a school bus. Don't be a hero and try to move a branch off a line. Your job is simple. Stay back and report it. Call your utility company. Call 911.
And that call you make, it is so important. Check out this quote. The very first thing the utility company has to do is figure out how bad the damage is and where the most dangerous situations are, like a wire down in the street. Your call helps them build that map of what's wrong so they can send crews to the most critical spots first.
So we've seen how the incredible weight of ice can just demolish poles, and how something as weird as galloping lines can cause problems even after the storm's over. And we've also seen the clever tech, like those little flashing indicators, that helps crews fight back. It really is a complex battle against nature, and it leaves us with a really big question for the future. As these winter storms get more and more intense, what's it going to take to build a power grid that can actually stand up to them?